What's up, everybody? Welcome back into another Friday case by case where we are going to discuss a couple cases going on that we've been following in depth on this channel. I've got Pete here, obviously, to discuss the Sunny Balwani trial and talk about Theranose, what's going on there, another update, and to answer your questions. And after that's done, we will get to Johnny Depp and Amber Heard as more stuff is happening even on our day off. They're not holding trial on Fridays in that case, which is not that abnormal, but a lot of times you can deal with some housekeeping matters. You can deal with some outstanding motions, things the judge hasn't decided on. So a lot of stuff can still happen on Friday, and things are coming out and happening in that case that we're going to discuss. I'm also going to answer a bunch of questions on that case at the end of today's video. But to start, as always, if you haven't subscribed to our channel and you're here watching, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the bell so you can always be alerted whenever we have lives or videos posting. And like the video if you haven't already, as we are going to jump in now to Sunny Balwani's update here. What's going on in that trial?
You know what? What's going on in the trial isn't really much different than what happened in Elizabeth Holmes' trial. But I'll tell you, the interesting stuff is really what's happening outside of the presence of the jury. But let me just give you a quick recap. Basically, it's been Walgreens and Edison machine for the last maybe 4 days or so. The issue has been whether or not Sunny Balwani was intimately involved in the Walgreens deal. There was an executive from Walgreens. He testified that absolutely Sunny Balwani was the guy. He was the person they actually dealt with in order to put the deal together. One of the interesting things that did happen, though, which is something we don't see very often, is the defense filed a motion to have a curative instruction given to the jury because somebody testified last week, one of the Theranose employees, that, hey, man, we used to go every time a VIP would show up, Sunny Balwani would tell us to revamp their lab so they wouldn't see what was really happening. Well, what we didn't realize until we filed the paperwork today, we didn't file it, they did, was that apparently Theranose had sent an Edison machine, had sent the blood vials and all that stuff to Walgreens in order for them to have it, to play with it, to review it before they actually went live. So the judge actually issued an order yesterday allowing the jury to know that that had actually occurred.
So what significance is that? Just that Walgreens actually could have tested it if they wanted to?
Yeah, they actually had the machine and they had the blood vials. They could have actually played with it. Now, let's kind of swing the pendulum the other way. Sunny Balwani did send a text to Elizabeth Holmes saying we switched the machine on them. So even if they did try it, it probably wouldn't have worked since they were using commercially readily available equipment, Simmons machines at that point.
So real quick, just in case anybody's just joining us from the Johnny Depp case or recently added to our channel, Pete's been following the Elizabeth Holmes and Sunny Balwani trials separately. They were the CEO and COO of Theranose, which was the company that created the Edison machine, which was supposed to do all these testings on one drop of blood. A lot of books and TV shows, like recently The Dropout with Amanda Seyfried was on Hulu. All of that was based on these two characters and this case. So this is the Theranose trial, kind of two parts. Elizabeth Holmes, who was convicted on most counts of fraud and looking at prison time, and now her COO, Sunny Balwani, who she said, which is some crossover with the Johnny Depp case, had an abusive relationship and effect over her, and she tried to point the finger at Sunny Balwani, saying it was all his fault. He forced her to do all of this stuff. The jury didn't buy it. They convicted her. We think the same thing is going to happen to Sunny Balwani in that he is going to get convicted. And Pete's giving the update on the trial. What is this, week 3 or 4?
It's week 4.
Week 4, federal trial in California.
Yes.
All right, what else is going on with it? Anything?
Other than that, the stuff that I found more interesting was I kind of went to the docket because there really wasn't much news coverage about the actual trial. And then I'm looking at it and I realized apparently maybe Monday or Tuesday, one of the jurors asked to speak to the judge, sidebar. So the judge at the end of the proceedings talks to this particular juror. It's juror number 8. They leave. The next day, the judge calls juror number 8 to sidebar, clears the courtroom, meaning throws the lawyers for the parties out, has a conversation with that juror, brings the lawyers back in, and dismisses juror number 8. So I think something happened. He must have gotten tainted somehow, and he told the court, at which point he's now apparently off the jury. The second thing that I thought was a pretty big deal was there was one of the Theranose lab, the managers of the lab, and he had testified and is in the middle of testifying now. The defense filed another motion asking the judge to give them the permission to cross-examine him, not on the stuff that happened at Theranose, but stuff that happened to him, meaning the lab director afterwards. Apparently, he's worked for 3 companies after Theranose. All 3 of them had government investigations. All 3 labs were found to be ineffective and were shut down. So I think that I see it from Sunny Balwani's perspective. If you've got a lab director who's had 3 jobs since you, all of which those labs have been shut down, it's not me. It's not Sunny Balwani. It's him.
Yeah, and that's, again, pointing the finger seems to be the best way for all of these defendants to try to get out of fraud cases like this. So as he's winding down kind of the update, if you have any questions about Sunny Balwani, Theranose, this trial update, or Elizabeth Holmes, or the Dropout, the series, his entire series breakdown posted today, I think. It's today or sometime this week. If you want to check that out, he kind of reviews the entire TV show to see how close to reality it is and what may be coming on season 2 if it's coming. So if you have any questions about Sunny Balwani, Elizabeth Holmes, Theranose, put them in the chat now. But as kind of a final wrap up to this week, who do you think is still coming in testimony? Do you think Sunny is winning? Think it's kind of an obvious answer. Anything different than the Elizabeth Holmes trial now after 4 weeks?
Now, and the truth is the government's going lockstep. Everything they did in the Elizabeth Holmes case, they've just refined it, and they're doing the exact same thing against Sunny Balwani. They had a couple of hiccups, like somebody that had testified that she'd never heard of Sunny Balwani before. Like, how do you put someone on the stand that doesn't know who he is? Regardless, though, the vast majority of the evidence is really not good for him.
Yeah, I agree. So, all right, Ryan Good asked, how realistic do you think the Dropout was in your opinion, Pete, kind of overall?
We did a
whole series.
We did a series on it. I actually did a season finale for that. I think they did an exceptional job. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Truth is more interesting than fiction, and they pretty much hit it on the head.
All right, yeah, we're talking about another case, CC. We're talking about the Bawwani trial right now, and then we're going to get to Depp and Heard probably within the next 5 minutes. Anybody else have questions on Bawwani and Theranose and Elizabeth Holmes? Locky saying this is their first show, first-time subscriber. Glad you are here. So yeah, on Fridays, we try to do this on case by case where we take more than one case, break it down, and kind of discuss different aspects of different trials. And it's interesting because a lot of times there's a lot of crossover in the Bawwani case, talking about somebody who was accused of being an abuser kind of after the fact and a little bit late when it was beneficial for his ex-girlfriend, Elizabeth Holmes, to try to get her out of criminal trouble. So there's a lot of that going on in this case. And then also, as in every case, like we said in the Johnny Depp case where a juror was excused for his hernia issue, jurors are excused and jurors drop like flies in these cases. Johnny Depp's case is supposed to last 6 weeks. So as jurors go, we might get nervous as it gets close. Elizabeth Holmes, how many jurors did they lose? A bunch, right?
They were getting to the point where they were looking at a mistrial. I think they lost 4.
And then Bawwani has already lost, what, 1 or 2?
He's lost. If number 8 really is gone, that would be 2.
Okay. So if he loses 2, how long is his trial supposed to be?
He's 13 weeks.
Okay. Do you think, here's another question here. Yeah, Joanna, we are one of the only YouTube channels that I've seen that's really covering soup to nuts this Theranose trial from Bawwani and Holmes. So check out Pete's videos. We've got the playlist on our channel that goes through all of them for both. And we appreciate the comment. Yes, John, we hit 34K. We are growing fast right now. So we're trying to get to 50K. Tell your friends about us. Will Bawwani take the stand?
That's a good question. I'm of the belief that you should only take the stand if it benefits you, meaning if your testimony is actually going to make it better for you. A lot of people don't have that same perspective. They think that the jury has to hear you no matter what. At this point, I'd be shocked if he didn't take the stand. I think he's going to get up there and he's going to try to explain away all this stuff, blame Elizabeth Holmes, whatever the case may be.
I think he has to. I think he has to take the stand personally. In a case like that, I think he has to. I think the jury's going to want him to explain it. And it's not like he's going to have a huge rap sheet that he has to worry about or anything like that. How much longer do you think it is? I think we already
I think he's got about 6 more weeks.
Okay, which is, again, a lot longer than the Johnny Depp case. In federal trials, they take a lot more breaks. They also don't work on Friday. I say don't work. They don't.
There's no court.
Right, there's no court on Friday. So it's a much slower pace in federal court versus state court, which is what the Johnny Depp case is. All right, let's see. Helen, Pete's coverage of the Theranose has been fabulous. I agree. So anybody that needs any info on that can definitely check out our page. And yeah, as it goes, week by week, there's not as much fireworks or as many fireworks, I should say, in those cases as there is in this Johnny Depp case. We have a celebrity trial where they're just able to sling mud. It's much more straight-laced, much more down the middle, much more professional, dare I say, in that Bawwani and Theranose and Elizabeth Holmes case. As they go through federal criminal proceedings, doesn't get much more serious than that. And then there's no TVs in the courtroom, no cameras in the courtroom. So everything is getting to us in written documentation. That's why Pete's checking the docket and finding as much info as he possibly can. Do you think Bawwani will get a lighter sentence than Holmes due to them learning what did and didn't work in the Holmes trial?
You know, we talk about this. I don't know. At this point, both of these defendants, if obviously Bawwani is convicted, score off the charts when it comes to their sentences, simply because we're talking about $700 million of loss amount, which is just astronomical loss amount. So I think that it kind of emphasizes the reality of what this sentence should be. But I think that there's a very good chance that they're both going to prison for a very long time. Chances are Sonny may go to prison a little bit shorter time frame if he's convicted, of course. But I think you should expect that they're going to go to trial. They're going to go to prison for 10 plus years.
Sammy needs an alibi. Is Sonny winning or losing, in your opinion?
I think he's losing at this point. I think the government's doing a good job of proving that he knew what was going on every step of the way.
To me, you know, we always talk about in federal criminal cases on this channel and in our office, they have a 99+% or 95+, whatever it is, percent conviction rate. They usually don't bring the cases, put in the resources and the time to try it if they're not going to win.
And Sammy, understand, he's been charged with 11 counts. All he needs is to lose on one, and the government can get the exact same sentence as if he lost on all 11.
Yeah, Sue, let's hit the like and subscribe button. It's free. Go ahead and do that. John Grisham, this is kind of a philosophical question. Do you think cameras will eventually be used in federal court?
Yes, I think there will come a time when cameras are going to be used in federal court, especially since the art of courtroom sketching is really dying. And you really can't find a lot of people that go to federal court and can do a sketch kind of on the fly. So there's going to come a point where they're going to have no choice but to kind of open it up to technology. And we're seeing that stuff even from a perspective of being lawyers.
It used to be like even we couldn't bring stuff in or we had to file motions. Now it's understood we can bring our iPads and cell phones in, hook up to the internet. So it's very slowly progressing. And I think with all the attention, all these law tube and people streaming and talking about these cases, I think America likes it. They want to see it. They think it's part of being a citizen here. Why hide it? I get why judges do it, but I disagree. And I think that people should be able to watch this and be able to understand the process so that they're not so afraid when they go into it for the first time. They've seen it. They know what it looks like. They know what to expect. I think all of the public policy arguments point towards cameras being in the federal courtroom. And I really hope that that's what happens.
Looks like that may be it.
All right. So we'll call it on Sunny Balwani now. Pete will be posting more videos next week, and he'll hopefully be back with us next Friday in the case by case. Thanks, Pete.
Thanks, all.
All right. So he's taken off, and we're going to jump into Johnny Depp now. I see a lot of people. Asking questions about it. I know if you guys are new to the channel, I appreciate you coming in. We talk about multiple cases, especially on the Friday. There's a lot of people that are here for a lot of different cases, so we try to hit all of them. And we are going to absolutely hit Johnny Depp. We're going to jump into it right now. So I'm going to scroll back up and try to get to a lot of the questions that were on Johnny Depp. I already did answer some about court not going on Friday. And I got emailed in a question that I'm going to answer as well. So we are going to do Johnny Depp right now, but there is some interesting stuff happening. No problem. Cleona, I realized a bunch of people were asking. I wanted to make sure you guys all knew it was coming, and I realized that's why a lot of you were here. But you know, Theranose has blown up on our channel too, and a ton of people came to our channel from Theranose too, and Pete's the expert on that case. So that's why we brought him in to kind of talk that one first. All right. So let me address some things that have already been in this chat. They were in the other chat. They're in the comments. When a lot of people are asking about the same thing, I like to break it down. However, you guys probably hate this because I keep repeating myself. I'm trying to come into this case like a juror who does not know a lot of what happened outside the courtroom. And when we talk about the text messages, Johnny's text messages, how they got in, they were illegally obtained, or Amber Heard's text messages, how she refused to turn them over. And it's so unfair that her text messages aren't here for them to use them against her. So I understand why people have those questions. I don't know the procedural history of what happened in this case. I did not read the motions and read the docket in this case on purpose because the jury does not do that. And I really want to look at what the jury is looking at. So I haven't dug into that, but I can give you kind of a general legal answer to that. It is about impossible to use illegally obtained anything in a trial. So if Johnny Depp's text messages were really illegally obtained, they would not be allowed to be used. Now, accidentally obtained or leaked and become public information, then you can use them, as long as Amber Heard's lawyers did not somehow break the law in obtaining his text messages. Number two, if a judge or a court ordered Amber Heard to turn over her text messages, I am positive we would not be at trial right now without those text messages. She would either be sanctioned or fined or even thrown in jail for contempt of court if she violated a court order. So there's something off from what a lot of these questions are, because the questions I'm getting are Amber refused to follow a court order and refused to turn over her text messages. If she didn't give text messages, it's because the court agreed that she didn't have to, for whatever reason it may be. Secondarily, if they stole Johnny Depp's phones or, illegally wiretapped and got these text messages or got these recordings, they would not be allowed to use them. That's just legalities across our nation. Now, I don't know, again, UK, Australia could be different, and I talk about that a lot. And I'm going to just kind of circle in this question I had too, which is, and a lot of this came from Simon. Anyhow, I noticed a lot of the testimony admits drug use, and even if we stretch a little bit, trafficking or procuring for others, I would say with intent to sell or give, maybe not trafficking. Could he be charged, prosecuted for that based on that testimony? The answer is absolutely yes. They can use this testimony to prosecute him criminally. He's admitting crimes. Now, I don't know, because of how a lot of this cross has been going on, what the time frame is, when this stuff happened, where it happened, what drugs are illegal and what amounts in different states and different countries and different jurisdictions, what the statute of limitations are in those different jurisdictions. So I can't say that, yes, they're going to prosecute him. Absolutely. I think they are not going to prosecute him for this. But if this was a normal person admitting drug use and giving drugs to friends and having people procure drugs for him illegally, yes, this sworn testimony can be used against you in criminal court. Absolutely. Now, I don't think it's going to happen to Johnny, but the question was asked, so that's just kind of how a lawyer would answer that question. All right. Let me scroll. Or actually, no, I'm sorry. See, I'm getting ahead of myself trying to answer questions. So before we get to the real zinger of the episode, which is just crazy and hilarious how this has come out today, and I actually do think it is going to affect the Johnny Depp trial, and I do think that Johnny Depp's lawyers should absolutely get some late undisclosed evidence in as rebuttal based on what Amber Heard said and what her lawyers doubled down on in the opening statement, which is what I posted on Twitter, and that's what I'm going to talk about after we get to this last point. A lot of people were asking me, what do I think the biggest problems for Johnny Depp are? And I said, if Amber Heard's lawyers simplify this case and talk about how her opinion is she's an abuse victim. In his testimony, in the recordings, I've made a couple notes here, okay? It's obviously that you can take what he's saying as verbal abuse. Whether you agree with it or not, and whether you think she pushed him there or gaslighted him, I get it and I understand. But he has admitted, and there's been shown that he's called her names, he's yelled at her, he said nasty things to her. That could be categorized as verbal abuse. That's number one. But he's also admitted to certain physical actions. I'll slap the C word around before letting her in. He admitted to grabbing her shoulders and putting her on the bed after she hit him, saying that's enough, put her on the bed. And again, how a juror looks at a man grabbing a woman by the shoulders and putting her on the bed, I think there can be various ways to define that. Number three, he bear hugged her and grabbed her to stop her from hitting him. And then some definition of a headbutt, which she said resulted in black eyes and broken nose. That is all physical contact that she could say, in her opinion, was physical abuse. And if we look at the op-ed again, and we stick to the statements in this case and what this case is about, she said she was the victim of abuse. She said she dealt with a male figure who's powerful and rich, which is true. And therefore, that's what I would focus on as the biggest problem for Johnny Depp if I was Amber Heard's lawyers. Beverly, you're my girl. I understand. Yes, she admitted to hitting him multiple times. Absolutely. But whether or not he is an abuser, is what's on trial. And whether or not Amber lied maliciously and defamed him to hurt his career based on him abusing her is the main question. She can be an abuser as well and still win this trial. We have to remember that. All right. And LV, I'm seeing all this stuff saying self-defense. I see M, self-defense. I agree with you 100%. I'm with you. But what I'm saying is people ask me what I think Johnny Depp's biggest problem could be. And if I'm Amber Heard's lawyer, that's what I'm focusing on. Those actions, those statements, that definition of abuse. That's what I'd be focusing on. Okay, let's get to it here. And I'm going to share some things with you. I got to get my headphones out for this part because there's some interesting stuff. And this is kind of funny, but also I legit think could be something used by Johnny Depp and his lawyers. And that is the fact that Amber Heard's lawyers, we talked about how Johnny Depp was very specific and gave detailed answers about the abuse, about his finger, about some of the arguments, about the fighting, about the people that were around. And how a lot of us said, because of those specifics, because of those details, usually we think they're telling the truth. And when you can't trip them up on cross on those details, but instead you're tripping them up on, I don't recall, or when something happened in the UK trial. And, that's where you're impeaching them, not necessarily, lying. And you're not picking apart those details. That makes me think you're telling the truth. And a lot of you agreed with that. Well, giving too many details and being too specific can cut both ways. Because if you are lying and you get caught in that lie, it is very easy to blow that up. So we are going to get to a specific detail in opening statements that Amber Heard's lawyers say. And it's basically regurgitating something Amber Heard herself said. And let me see here, share this Chrome tab. Let's listen to this part of the opening statement here and track with me.
Well, let me show you this. This is what Amber carried in her purse for the entire relationship with Johnny Depp. She's an actor. Do you honestly think she would have left her apartment ever without makeup? Do you think that she ever would have wanted other people to see her bruises and her cuts? This was what she used. She became very adept at it. You're going to hear the testimony from Amber about how she had to mix the different colors for the different days of the bruises as they developed in the different coloring, and how she would use these to touch those up to be able to cover those.
People are saying there's an echo. I thought I had the audio on right here. Yeah, it's supposed to be, but it sounds like it's coming out of my speakers here. All right, appreciate it. I mean, I'm sorry about the echo. So I'm going to pause it here because more important than what she said is she is holding up this very specific piece of makeup, okay? And she says that Amber couldn't leave the house without it and that she had to use these different colors to and she had to use different colors to cover up the different, as the bruise progressed. And, if it was a little blacker, a little bluer, a little redder, a little browner, whatever it may be, she had to carry this around with her everywhere. And this is a way to dispute what our buddy Isaac said on the stand, what Johnny Depp said, that she wasn't wearing makeup. She was always wearing makeup. And actually, it was specifically this makeup because this makeup helps cover up bruises. That is very specific. Okay? So now, and I apologize because this audio is probably not going to be good, but let me just show you this real quick.
Thing you can expect from me, and that's the unexpected. 'Cause I'm an international super spy.
So, this exact makeup that Amber Heard's lawyers held up an opening statement was released in 2017, which is after most of their relationship and after just about all of these accusations of the bruising happened. And Bawwani, this company, came out on their own and posted this on TikTok, blowing up Amber Heard's lawyers' statements in opening. And so I'll tell you, this has happened before. We have found objective evidence that something that an attorney has said in opening statements before is not true. Here are the issues that are in front of Johnny Depp's lawyers. To produce this TikTok is probably not reliable. So they will have to find some reliable evidence from Milani, which it sounds like Milani will help. So one thing you can do is ask them for a business record that shows when this makeup was released. And if they sign off on a business records affidavit, now this is Florida law. So, take this with a grain of salt. Virginia may be different, but most states have a situation to speed things up. And so you don't have to call somebody from Milani, a corporate rep or a business records person, to come and be a custodian to testify at trial, that these are kept in the normal course of business. But assuming they have something similar to Florida where they can sign off on it under oath and produce a document that says this was released in 2017, then they would be able to produce that and show it to the jury. So secondarily, if you can do that, if you can get the business record signed off, if you can get this to be a legitimate document from Milani to come in and show that it wasn't produced until 2017, you have to get over a second hurdle, which is you have not disclosed this in discovery. It's not on your exhibit list. It's never been produced to the other side for them to review. So a lot of times, most of the time, that evidence will stay out. So that's an issue. However, when new evidence comes to light, judges can make exceptions. And judges can make exceptions and are more likely to make exceptions if they feel like it is going to prove a lie. And to a certain extent, this can be impeachment, which means you can bring it in even if it's not going to be evidence, because you can impeach with anything. You don't necessarily have to turn over all the evidence you are going to impeach someone with, but you can't impeach a lawyer based on their opening statements. So Amber is going to have to take the stand and explain this before Johnny Depp's lawyers are going to be able to impeach her. So if Amber lawyers are smart and try to avoid this embarrassing moment, they can just ask her some vague questions about makeup, but not bring up the specific makeup or the one that she held in opening. The problem with that is demonstrative aids can then be used later by the other side, and they can grab that demonstrative aid, and it's a pretty skillful lawyer tactic. Grab that demonstrative aid and show Amber and say, is this what you used? And if she's smart and her lawyers have talked to her, maybe she'll say, that's what I use now. Back then I used something different, so that maybe she can come up with this. But again, I'm not saying she can lie. I'm saying maybe that's what she said. She gave him the one she used now. She doesn't know what the brand is that she used before. But if she slips up, if she says on the stand that she used this, or if her lawyers don't ask her, Johnny Depp's lawyers can and say, is this the kind that you use? Then boom, they can blow it up. They can try to show her that she's lying and show the jury that she's lying. And again, while this seems simple, right? And it's almost funny that they made this TikTok. If they can impeach her saying you lied, and they could use in closing, I could see something like Johnny Cochran or, this actually reminds me more of a Lil Wayne line than Johnny Cochran, but something like you lied about the cover up so that you could cover up. Because that's what she's trying to do, is cover up her lies. And one of the ways she's saying it is, you didn't see the bruises because I was wearing specific cover-up makeup. And what I like to do a lot of times, and sometimes being a little more vague leaves you some room for as stuff develops in trials. I've told you guys this all the time. Trial lawyers have to be able to adapt. Stuff's coming at you like crazy. You're always adapting on the fly. And this is something you have to adapt to. So if her lawyers would have been more vague, they could deal with this now. But because they were so specific, if she's impeached with this, it's not going to look good for them. And they are also going to, I don't want to say they're liars, but they're going to look like liars in opening. You never want to say something in opening that is going to turn out not to be true in trial. So that's a big snafu. And the reason it's such a big deal is if she didn't have those bruises and she wasn't using this cover-up makeup and she did lie about the abuse, that's how he wins defamation. And if they can show this string of lies and cover-up and gaslighting and trying to set up things that look like abuse or make him look crazy or make him look like an alcoholic or a drunk, and she has this MO of setting him up, then that's how I would use that evidence. And I think this is a golden ticket given to Johnny Depp's lawyers, because this actually goes to the issue of defamation. It goes to the physical abuse. It goes to her lying. It's not an opinion of hers. That's how you get around opinion. You show that she has the intent to make him look like an abuser, even though he's not. And one of the ways she did that is with cover-up. fake cover up. And another way she did that is with this defamation op-ed. Very interesting to me if they can use it. Again, there can be a lot of things we don't know. It could actually be a different brand. I'm not sure. I'm not a makeup expert. But if this is actually true, that she said she used a makeup that wasn't even around back then, this could be a big piece of evidence for Johnny Depp. All right. So that's what I wanted to get to. That's what I think is really interesting on a day where there is no trial. There is no testimony. Stuff is still happening in this case. Fireworks are still going off. And it's been really fun to cover. So now is the time. I am going to scroll up and try to get to some of the questions that have already been asked. But let me know if you have any questions in the chat for the Johnny Depp trial. If you haven't liked the video already, there's almost 1,100 of us in here. I hope that means we have about 1,000 likes on the video. A lot of new subscribers from the Johnny Depp trial, from other channels that have been streaming the trial. So I appreciate you all being here. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button and the bell so you can join us for lives like this so I can get to as many of your questions as possible. Karen, thank you so much. Reiterate what I'm saying. All right. Thank you, Wildfire. Katie, so this is interesting. It's really interesting for me watching U.S. trials. I've worked in UK courts, and the judges in the UK are a lot more strict. They wouldn't be happy with unrelated questions and mudslinging. Most of the time, that doesn't happen in cases here. This case is abnormal. The amount of mud being slung is really abnormal. Now, some state courts are a little more lax on other things, but this is unusual. All right, let's see what we have here. So multiple people saying things like there's a difference between self-defense and physical abuse, bro. And by ending the bro at the end, it just feels a certain type of way in text form. But I will answer that, bro, M, not everybody agrees. Everybody doesn't see every amount of abuse or every action exactly the same. We have a jury full of people who do not know each other and probably have different backgrounds, different thoughts. So some of them probably see it as self-defense. Some of them probably don't, just coming in. And that's the point of the trial, is for Johnny Depp's lawyers to convince them that he was acting in self-defense, that she was the abuser. People asked me the question, how could he lose? What's his biggest problem? That was my answer. All right, let's see. Thank you, CJS. JP Molino, yeah, it's about defamation. Sometimes that seems to get lost in the Hollywoodness of this trial. This is where I get to the part where all of you tell me you can't hear the video. Again, I apologize. The words weren't as important as to show the picture of what she showed is exactly what Milani's, cosmetic company showed. And then they said it didn't come out until 2017. Very interesting. So B, can they even use this in court because it's outside research? You can use this type of stuff for impeachment. Absolutely. They have to get some kind of authentic document to actually prove that it didn't come out until 2017, and a TikTok is probably not enough. But if that document actually exists, they can try to go get it. That's why having Fridays off of trial is great, because that's what I'd be having my staff do today. Find a way to get it. Yeah, Shelley Brown met in 2012, married 2015, divorced 2016, final in 2017 when the makeup came out. I'm Maddie. I'm talking about impeachment evidence or new things that have come out that they did not know about before the trial started. And my guess is they did not know this before the trial started. If they did, maybe they already have it. Maybe it is on the exhibit list. Who knows? And for flex, sure, anything can happen. We're speculating here. It's a day off trial. It could have been released sooner in the UK. Somebody else said they could have given it to a celebrity earlier. Sure, and she's going to have to answer that on the stand. Victoria, Amber is a time traveler. That's also an argument they could make. Thank you, somebody. Mixed reviews. I know somebody else said, I thought you were going to shave. I did. I trimmed it up a little bit, and you can see I edged it up a little bit. My wife said she liked it a little bit longer here, so I'm leaving it for now. But if you don't like it, I apologize. I'm sure it'll go soon. I like to switch up all my facial hairstyles. All right, let's see what else we got. Yeah, that is true, Katie. So I don't think the brand gave it to her because they specifically said she didn't have it, and they didn't give it because they wanted to expose her. So people asking about the jury, I believe it's got to be unanimous. They've got to agree on who wins, and they've got to agree on the number. I do not know when Amber is going to take the stand, but I really think she is going to. Yes. Thank you, Mandy Rust. Hit that like button if you guys haven't already. Team YouTube, random, but how do you feel about Amber Heard's lawyer bringing up Marilyn Manson so much? I feel like it's just to point out Johnny Depp hangs out with an abuser. You guys tell me. I don't know. I grew up in a society that thought negatively of Marilyn Manson. Obviously, there are people that like him, but I think generally it's probably a negative connotation. And she says he's a known abuser. I didn't know that, but I don't know. I probably think they think it's a negative, which is why they keep bringing it up. Beverly, thank you so much again for the big super chat here. Peter, is there any way for Depp's lawyers to introduce the many positive social media comments made by Johnny's ex-wife, wives, friends, Jason Momoa, Winona Ryder, Sia, etc., on Depp's behalf, or is that hearsay? Would they have to be called to the stand? Yeah, it would probably be hearsay. They would probably have to be called to the stand, and they would probably only allow so much of it because it would be cumulative evidence. It's character evidence. Just to have a bunch of people come up and say he's a great guy, he's a celebrity. So if they allowed that, then both sides could have 100 people come up and say that. So usually that type of stuff doesn't come in. They would have to actually be testifying to something or know some fact about the case, like his friend Isaac, like his sister. They would have to know some facts about the case or have seen Amber and Johnny interact. You can't usually just have people come up and say what a great guy you are. But in this case, so much character evidence is being slung. Who the heck knows what's going to happen? Kit Kat says the super chat's not working. That's unfortunate. All right, let's see what else we got. Chewy's sister, do you think Johnny Depp's lawyers are aware of these things online, especially since it came out on TikTok? I sure hope so. Today's day and age, you've got to be doing your online research. You got to be seeing what's out there. I don't necessarily think they're taking advice from YouTube lawyers or anything like that. But I do think they're probably checking out or have a team that's checking out what's going on, seeing if anybody's finding stuff like this. Yeah, and they probably did already find it, Shelley said. They probably already sent it to their lawyers. All right, let's see here. What else we got? Helen, is perjury taken more seriously in defamation cases? Unfortunately not. All under oath statements are what they are. But I do think that this case, when you have so much publicity, these are the ones that tend to gain the attention of state attorney's offices or U.S. attorney's offices when we're talking about perjury and things like that. Normal cases, it seems like they couldn't care less about it. Stormy saying, regardless of the outcome, he's won already. Chelsea, is it possible for both to win and $50 million each to cancel out both claims? It's more likely the jury would just fine for neither of them or fine for Johnny Depp and $1 than to fine for both and award him $50 million. I can't really see how that would work. But theoretically, I guess it's possible because they both have two separate counterclaims, although their counterclaims are basically saying the opposite things and they're both saying each other's lying. So it's like saying, you know, they said one, no, they said two, and you got to pick whether they said one or two. So if you pick one, how could you possibly rule for the other? So I don't think that's likely to happen. What about Amber Heard's fans spreading those flyers on cars, potentially affecting jurors' opinions? So we talked about this a little bit in last night's live. If her lawyers do it, they can get sanctioned. If random people do it, it's really hard for the court not to do it. She can instruct the lawyers and the parties to tell their friends and fans not to do things to intimidate the jury or affect the jury. They definitely can't put it on the juror's car if they know the juror's car. But just like people are going on YouTube making videos saying how great Johnny Depp is, if people want to go say how great Amber Heard is, they're able to do that too. It's protected free speech. So, you know, it's kind of hard to, you know, hunker down on that. All right, let's see what else we got. So do you think Depp got caught in a lie when they played the low quality audio of him saying, I chopped off my finger? What do you think? I honestly think that, to me, it's plausible, but I am a lawyer who's handled, you know, domestic violence cases on both sides. It's plausible that the victim does not want the abuser to get in trouble. So they say that they didn't hurt them because they know something would potentially happen to them. But again, as people could disagree with the person that said the self-defense bro, people could disagree with that. And exactly what you're saying, they could say, listen, it's his own words. He said he chopped off his own finger. How am I going to believe him now? Was he lying then? Was he lying now? What's the truth? I can't really tell what the truth is. So I think that's a good point for you to bring that up. And if they think he chopped off his own finger and he's lying now in court, I don't think that holds too well for him. What are the odds on mistrial? I have no idea. At this point, I don't see anything that should be causing a mistrial, but some crazy stuff has already happened with people in the courtroom, with witnesses getting thrown out, jurors getting dismissed, people putting flyers on cars. Who the heck knows? I guess it's higher than a normal case just because all the publicity and the Hollywoodness. Whoop. I just lost Melanie's comment. Yeah, Melanie is saying it's more likely her girlfriend with the flyers, but I wanted to click one of Melanie's other comments, which was, didn't the doctor say it was crushed, not cut off the finger? That was Johnny trying to slide in there that he said it's an impact injury or a crushing injury, like you said, but it was objected to and struck from the record. So I don't think that's actually come out into evidence yet, technically, but the jury could have heard it and they could probably consider it if it's in the back of their mind. Marilyn Manson case will be another to follow. Oh, so it's a different abuse case. Okay, hasn't happened yet. Read his suit for defamation. These details are insane. He was certainly conspired against for activism clout. Interesting. So kind of a similar thing. And maybe if Johnny Depp wins, that is something I could see changing some things for celebrities in the future, because one of the other hard things about defamation for normal people like us is how much does it really affect us? Not to mention, like, could Google reviews be defamation if somebody goes and lies about a restaurant where something didn't actually happen there? But how do you connect that Google review to a real person? It's tough. I mean, this is a very weird area of the law. But Natasha, thank you for the super chat. Karen, can Amber's child be taken if she's found guilty? She's not going to be found guilty or not guilty. It's a civil case, not criminal. If she loses, her child will not be taken from her because of this. I don't know if something else going on, but because of this case has no bearing on what happens with her child. Bethy Wethy. Can I ask why they're having court in Virginia instead of California? A very common question. I feel like I answer it in every video. So legally speaking, why it's here is because the Washington Post, where the op-ed was printed, their printers and their servers, where the online version also went out, are in Virginia. Therefore, where the tort or the wrong happened, the defamation happened, is technically Virginia. Therefore, it's legal and appropriate for Johnny Depp to file in Virginia. Now, what a lot of people are saying is he chose Virginia over California because the anti-SLAPP statutes protect free speech there, protect defamation. It's really hard to win a defamation case in California. And people are saying that's why he chose Virginia over California. But there is a legal reason. I'm sure, again, I didn't do this research on purpose, and there are people clowning me for it in the chat. But I did it on purpose because I wanted to just come in with what the jury knows. But I'm sure they filed a motion to dismiss based on lack of jurisdiction. And they lost because the trial's happening here. Yvette, how many men or women are on the jury? And do you think Amber or Johnny will ever work in the industry? I absolutely think Johnny's going to work in the industry again. I don't know about Amber. I think she's already in Aquaman 2 and they're holding that release. So I'm sure they'll, excuse me, both work in the industry again. I think someone said 9 men and 3 women. I have not seen a lot of confirmation about who's on the jury, but I have heard from the majority of people that the majority on the jury are men, which I guess cuts in Johnny's favor, I guess. But a lot of men have wives and daughters and sisters and moms that they would hate if they thought a man was abusing a female. So, I mean, I don't know. You guys tell me. Let me know in the comments. Do you think it'd be more beneficial for Johnny Depp if the jury had more men or women? Post that in the comments, men or women. Because as I kind of look at the chat and have followed through this case, I haven't noticed a big difference about people saying, it's like it's more men that are defending Johnny or women that are defending Johnny. I really haven't noticed a difference. So I think most people would think men, but I want to know what you guys think as the potential jurors out there. Brandon, you should have been here last night, man. It was wild. There was like 5,000 people in the live. So it's getting wild here for Johnny Depp. But yeah, everybody get your questions in. We've got, maybe 15, 20 more minutes here. Thanks, Ryan. You were here. You remember when, right? People keep asking me about this too. What's your opinion on her copying Depp's clothing? I don't know. Maybe some mental warfare going on. All right, let's see what else happens here. We've already lost 2 jurors, both male, Kim said. Okay, yeah, I knew the male was the one with the hernia issue because we heard him talking. Joe Jolina said she sees more women than men sporting them on social. Okay. So people are saying men, definitely men. 7 men, 3 women left. So I guess the 2 men would have made 9 and 3. Thank you, Carol. Other people saying women. Some people saying hard to say. Men may take pity on her. Women, string of women here. Then more men. What's up, Lucia? Comment section is not switched on. All right, Casey, just put it in the chat then for now. And if anybody's watching this later, drop it in the comments, women or men. Seems pretty split to me here in the chat as I'm scrolling through. So Stefan Dukansky, why are they, Team Depp, not playing the whole audio tracks for more context? I guess I understand Team Amber for picking small parts of it out of context. Similar tactics. So there's a couple reasons, okay? I know a lot of us think we know what I think we know what happened and what's in a lot of these recordings, but if Johnny Depp's team feels like he's winning cross, do you really want to play 5 hours of recordings to show Johnny Depp kind of slurring or sounding drunk or high just to prove that he wasn't abusing her Some of them, I'm sure they're going to give context to and play more of the audio recordings. I'm sure more of the audio recordings are in evidence and maybe we'll hear them in closing for more context. But I don't know if you want to have Johnny Depp on the stand for 3 weeks, listening to hours and hours of audio and reading every text he ever sent from his phone. So you have to be careful about what you put in front of the jury. And I have to think that Johnny Depp's lawyers know this case inside and out, and they're picking the best stuff and showing the best stuff. And maybe some of the context wouldn't play as well for him as some of us would think, not knowing what every text says or every recording shows. All right, let's see what else we've got here. People saying equal, both men and women, not a huge difference there. Beverly, he'd be better off with more pirates on the jury. So Snowshoe says Amber's lawyers have already painted a picture of how deep Johnny is, how deep he is in drug and alcohol use. Their point is being those types of people tend to be abusers. I agree. I asked this question on my last videos, whether people think this is a gateway into abuse or not. And the overwhelming majority was no, that they don't think it was a gateway. So it's going to depend on if the jurors just connect that dot and say all people that are on drugs and alcohol abuse their partner, which, I don't think is true. But if a juror does, then yeah, Rockstar, why didn't Depp keep it closed court? That's why I don't get now so much of his private life and stuff is open and it could ruin him. I agree. And it's really embarrassing and it's tough to come back from stuff like this, even if he wins. I mean, a lot of people seem to love him, but it is really sad to see what he went through in his life and being abused and how he used drugs and alcohol is sad to watch. But he didn't have the choice to keep it closed court. In our system, if you are a plaintiff and you decide to file a lawsuit, you open yourself up to certain scrutiny. I have to tell my clients it all the time in personal injury cases that they are making their medical condition an issue in this lawsuit. And therefore, the defense is going to make them feel like a criminal defendant at time. And it's really sad. But they ask for their OBGYN records. They ask for private information, their primary care records, even if they're totally irrelevant. And we have to fight against that. Sometimes we're able to keep them away from records that are irrelevant. Sometimes the court says, well, maybe they'll find relevant information in those medical documents. So when you file a lawsuit like Johnny Depp did, you open yourself up for certain things that are going to come up as an issue in the case. And for him, his drug abuse, his alcohol abuse, his prior relationships, his actions, his text messages, how he acts, what he says, all of that is coming into issue. His character and his truthfulness are at issue in this case. All right, let's see what else we got. Deborah, regular person here. Deborah, that's what we love. Regular people get picked for juries. Lawyers like me almost never get picked for juries. I'm usually sent away before we even get called to the courtroom. So that's one of the reasons for those of you that are new that I have this channel. I love hearing from people that could be potential jurors. I am a full-time civil trial lawyer still now. I do not do YouTube full-time. I do YouTube for fun and I love it. And I can learn a lot from you all for how juries think about these cases. Some clients find me on YouTube and it's been really fun, writing, and it's already way bigger than I could have ever expected. So sorry for cutting into Deborah's time, but regular person here, malicious prosecution by deep pockets years ago makes us endure targeted disability discrimination for more than a decade. Scores of state agents, now a civilian perp, plus religious sexualized fetishism regarding the 2010 film Endure. I don't know what this means. Is there a question here? I'll check for your name if you have a question for me that is in here. But I'm not sure what this means. If I see your name pop up here, I will try to make sure I answer your question if you have a follow-up to that. All right, let's see here. So Jima Galvin says alcohol, yes, leads to abuse. Marijuana and opioids usually not. Well, what if somebody's on all three? Because if you're on the jury, it seems like you're kind of torn. Dickie thinks Depp has won the PR game so far. I don't disagree. Isabella says marijuana will lead you to Pizza Hut. Mad Harija says, I don't think men or women on the jury should matter, but sometimes it does. What up, Jack? People saying they think women can see better that she is what she is. Let's see here. Julio, Johnny Depp having the attorney read, or having Amber's attorney read the throat text multiple times was a GOAT move. It was interesting, man. It's tough being an attorney sometimes. It really is tough. Free Little Bird. Addicts lie. It goes with the territory, but it doesn't mean they're always lying. And I think Amber's lawyers are trying to say he's an addict, he's a liar, and hoping someone on the jury thinks that. I don't know. MJ, that's nice of you. Depp should have hired you, Peter. All right, let's see here. So Brian Cochran says, I feel like focusing on Johnny's drug history is not a good way to get on the jury's side. I don't know. If the jury hates drug users or alcoholics, or they have some in their past that were abusive because of that, I don't think it's a far stretch for them to think maybe he is the abuser based on all this. MJ, thank you. Masha, you're right. That's going to be a big part of this trial. Big part. A lot of people in this chat are kind of saying they think they're both wrong and they wouldn't give money to each of them. Thanks, Lit Real Red. Yeah, we've got a few minutes left. Maddie. Can a judge hold a contempt hearing for a witness caught lying in court, or does it have to be done through the executive branch prosecutor? So the prosecutor is not part of the executive branch necessarily, but the prosecutor is the one. Law enforcement has to arrest them, right? And then the prosecutor files the charges and prosecutes them criminally. The judge can hold people in contempt, but they can't file criminal charges against a jury that lies on the stand. So it would have to be done through law enforcement. And the prosecutor is part of law enforcement in this situation. Fallon Jones, is there a reason why the mainstream media is seemingly purposefully biased even after the evidence made public? So do you mean purposely biased toward or against Johnny Depp? Because I've actually seen both. I've seen Nick Rekieta just posted on, if you don't know who he is a lawyer on YouTube who streaming this whole trial. He and Legal Bites, both their channels, and some other channels are streaming the trial in full. I've been on both of their channels, and I saw him post on Twitter that New York Post or something like that posted that Johnny synced to new Depp's. So I've actually seen mainstream media kind of on both sides. And they don't really, I don't want to get myself in trouble here, but it doesn't seem like they really care about the truth. It seems like they care about clicks, and they care about getting eyes, and they care about telling people what they want to hear or what's going to stir up as much trouble as possible. It doesn't seem like many people have learned our lesson over the years about where that ends up getting us as a country and as a society. Why isn't Me Too screaming at the top of their lungs for him? If it was reversed, he'd be in jail. Well, it was reversed and he wasn't in jail. So I like to stand up for our criminal justice system when I can. She did accuse him of domestic violence. He did not get arrested. He did not end up in jail, even at the height of the Me Too movement. So we'll start with that. However, I do agree with you that I don't know why anybody in the Me Too movement is not coming out, in defense of Johnny Depp. However, when you have a situation like this where both parties are saying the other person is the abuser, sometimes it's smart to sit back, wait, watch, and listen and try to figure out what the truth is before you jump to conclusions. And maybe they're, whoever Me Too is and whoever, is their face or their voice, maybe they want to see, the evidence in this case and see if they can come to a decision as to who they actually think the victim is here. And then maybe they will come out in their behalf. But, that's up for debate here. All right, let's see. Let us know if New Mexico ever decides to round up Alec Baldwin. OG, I am following that still. And if something pops on that case, I will definitely jump on it. Me Too is only for women, it seems, Jack said. Hope that's not true. And I do think that's a big part of Johnny Depp's deal. Why do you look like Johnny Depp? D. Stevens? I'm not sure. I didn't try to, but this is just how I look. I guess I decided to grow my hair out. So if that's what makes me look like him. Let's see what else we got. Elisha just listens to the trial. How's that? Especially when those video depots are going. That's how I listen to it too. I mean, I listen to it on YouTube, but I listen to it on 2 times speed while I'm working, usually in the background. Hello, Marlene. When would I predict Amber being cross-examined? Panther Paul said, I really have no idea. Johnny Depp is testifying earlier than I thought he would. PT Express, what's up from California? Adrian, what's up? Hello, Betty Blue. You've missed quite a bit, so hopefully you have time to check it out later. Hugh McDonald taking it to a little more Ask Me Anything. Little detour. Where did I go to law school? I went to Florida State University College of Law, aka the Harvard of the South. That a lot of people that have been listening from the beginning already know. Double grad from there. I went undergrad and law school in Tallahassee. Melanie Egan, I love that they have a camera on Amber Heard's face. And a lot of people have been reacting to her reactions and what she's been wearing and what she looks like. And it's not one-sided because they're doing the same thing for Johnny Depp. A lot of people talked about, when his hair was kind of like, in front of him, how he looked kind of creepy. And then when he pulled it back, he wasn't hiding anymore. Or she said she wasn't hiding anymore or something like that. So I think that, a lot of people are reacting to how they look, their facial expressions, which a jury, from all the research that we've gotten from past juries and mock juries that we do, they look at this stuff, they watch the clients, they watch the parties, they look at their facial expressions, etc. Natalia, yes, we did the Sunny Balwani case first. So just jump to the beginning. The first 15 minutes are all Sunny Balwani. Yeah, Hope also plays at 2X. Yeah, D, I think the video in the kitchen was a setup. Case is coming back Monday. OG telling me 60% of you guys haven't smashed the like button yet? Come on. Ashley, come on. That's not a way to get a comment on the screen. We don't talk about them down there in Gainesville. Cassandra just logged on. Why do they call Pete the professor? A lot of different ways. He has taught paralegal classes at local colleges for the paralegals, which we've gotten some of ours from. He's got a business and finance background. He's got an MBA, wears glasses, just kind of fits. A lot of people have kind of called him that in the past, and the way that he kind of speaks and teaches. What happens next when they return? Tanya, we will continue with cross-examination of Johnny Depp. Hugh, man, guys taking shots at me over that school over in Gainesville. All right, got a couple more here before we leave. Beverly, Peter, wouldn't potential jurors during voir dire who report having had a prior drug addiction and or history of domestic abuse not been selected? I agree that Heard's team is overplaying the drugs. Well, they wouldn't be necessarily struck for cause because theoretically, both sides think they're victims of domestic abuse. Therefore, which side would want to strike that potential juror? When you have a case like this where both sides are kind of claiming the same thing, sometimes those kind of jurors can get on. Both sides also admit to taking drugs and drinking alcohol. So I don't really know if they would have guaranteed been struck. Now, if somebody said, my dad was abusive because he took drugs and alcohol, my guess is Johnny Depp's lawyers would have struck them. So I think potential jurors could have gotten on with drug addiction, history of domestic abuse, domestic violence, being a victim, or even being accused of it, because both of them are also being accused, they feel wrongfully, of domestic violence. So a very interesting question. Vicky Lund, go Knowles, got my master's and doctorate from FSU. Is the witness list for both sides public? I believe it is. I haven't looked at it though. All right, let's see what else we got here. Fallon again. Can Amber Heard receive any repercussions in regard to her testimony in the UK trial? I don't know what her testimony was in the UK trial. When you say repercussions, if she gives inconsistent statements in this trial, they can use the statements in that trial to impeach her, make her look like a liar, show that she has inconsistent statements. If she lies and one is completely contradictory and they're both under oath, potentially she could get perjury charges, which if you follow this channel, you know that that almost never happens, even though it should. It almost never happens. Betty Blue just hit the like. Yasu, Zena. Happy Good Friday for Greek Easter this weekend. Lucia, you've been subscribed, but I think you're charging others on to subscribe. All right, Hunter, I'll let you get this on the screen, even though you're wearing an ugly shirt in your picture. You're there for undergrad, but you're going to make the right decision for law school. Let me know when you do that. Shoot me an email or we can chat about it. If you want to talk law school, go into law school in Florida. If you want to practice here, there's a lot of thoughts I have on that and where you pick your law school. I think some people make a mistake going out of state to go to a higher ranked school when they want to work here, when in reality, most of the bosses at firms here went to Florida, Florida State, Stetson, rather than Notre Dame or Harvard, depending on what type of law you want to do. But my door's always open if you ever have any questions about that. All right. Why do they bring up the other trials in this trial? They are impeaching them with prior inconsistent sworn statements. Helen, go Knowles. That's right. What up, Lucy? The Seminoles, go Knowles. That is our mascot. Hello, Rod. Hopefully you subscribe and you join us for future videos. And we love when you get in the chat and in the comments and ask questions and keep it rolling with us and help me make the content interesting, because what I get from you guys is the best content. All right. Christos Anesti, Alithos Anesti, Zena. Boom, Kim. I'm subscribed, notifications hit, like hit, even though I'm not happy with some of the comments, but it is what it is. I apologize. We actually encourage disagreement here. So if you have a different opinion than other people, I like it. Even people disagree with me on here, respectfully, hopefully. And I like it. It makes people think. I like disagreeing and talking things through. All right, Jesse, is evidence in cross-exam supposed to be available to the party being questioned? Just wondering if JD could have been prepped better. So his prior statements, absolutely, all of them are produced. If it's going to be something on the exhibit list or evidence, that has been produced. But if something that comes up in impeachment and they just find that, he's got a different prior inconsistent statement on a text message or that another witness has said something that they didn't disclose to him, it doesn't necessarily have to be something that's available to him. They can impeach him with any prior inconsistent statement or social media post or text message or email or anything like that. Most of the time, it is presented and available to the party they're going to impeach them with, but not necessarily always. Sometimes things come up and you can catch people and show it, but that's the court usually doesn't like that. They like not to be a trial by ambush or by surprise. Giant mess. Do you think anything will change in Amber Heard's testimony since she also said excuses for what she said in the audio sessions in the trial before it was bound over? I don't think she's going to change anything because then she's going to get impeached if it's big changes. I mean, even Johnny saying, I don't recall, or even just changing a little bit about what that cocaine box really was. He's getting impeached with that, which I don't think is very effective when it's just minor differences. So if she does change her statement, expect her to be impeached. I don't really expect her to change her statements too much. Tanya Henry, absolutely. Happy to answer as many questions as I possibly can. Kim, I saw that typo, but I thought you were saying like, I have an E and no. Like some people talk like that. I have an E and no. I don't know. Awesome, Nikki. Thank you. Go Knowles. All right, Josh. Is this like a criminal trial where JD side will go again after Amber Turd side gets their turn? So the plaintiff in these cases will go first and last because they have the burden. And if they go after Johnny Depp's team, they will have that opportunity for rebuttal if they want to put on rebuttal evidence. So it is similar, even though the burdens are a little bit different. It is similar, yes, that him being the plaintiff is in place of the prosecution on the criminal side. They have the burden. So yes, they will get to go after. Down low, thank you. Glad you're here. New subscribers. It can be Christos Anesti. All right, Nikki. Why does her attorney keep bringing up the UK transcripts? What happened in the UK trial? Johnny Depp lost the UK trial. There's a lot of discrepancies over whether or not it was biased, what the problems were, how different it was. The judge said it is not res judicata, which means it is not a decision that's already been made. That is a legal decision where Johnny Depp can't file this case. People complain about me talking fast sometimes. Sometimes when I get rolling, I just speak quickly. And I try to get as much in the little time that I have. But they said that it is not res judicata. So just because he lost there against the Sun Times or whatever, doesn't mean he can't bring this case here. So he's allowed to bring this case. And I said in the prior video, I think maybe Rottenborn keeps bringing it up in hopes that a jury will, when they're not supposed to, go look up what happened in that UK trial, because he keeps referencing the UK trial. If I was Johnny Depp's lawyer, I would say just have him reference prior sworn statements, because I think he might want the jury to go look that up and Google what happened there and see that Johnny Depp lost, which may sway how they feel about this case. Heather Noreen, Law Instinct. What's your gut feeling on who will win this case? If I had to pick right now, I would pick Johnny Depp. If I had to pick at the beginning of the case before hearing any evidence, I would have picked Amber Heard, because defamation is very difficult to prove. But I think Johnny Depp himself, I said he's going to be the most important part, because a lot of times jurors decide this case based on the clients. So I think he is going to be the most important part. And I think so far he is doing a good job. But if she crushes, I do think she could sway it back. Right now, my gut feeling is Johnny Depp, but man, I don't think it's more than 50-50 really, or 51-49 at this point. Marlene loves Tarpon Springs, where all the Greeks are. Ira Klein telling me I'm crazy. Amber's going to win. Yeah, I don't think it's a slam dunk. I think it could go either way, and disagreement is totally fine. Two-Edged Sword said he's supporting Amber. There are supporters out there for both. I don't really would say I support either of them. I'm just basing it off of what I see in trial, and I think Johnny Depp seems really honest so far. And I think that, you know, what he's saying is believable and sounds true, but we haven't heard from Amber yet. And that's why the trial's not over yet. And that's what's so important. All right. We've gone over an hour. I like to usually keep it around an hour. But thank you guys so much for joining me. This was a ton of fun. We will do more lives next week, recapping the trial. I will try to jump on other streams. Check out Legal Bites. Check out Ricada. I will try to jump on their streams and give some instant analysis, but I will try to do a bunch of lives at night after the day of trial, because that seems when most of you come out and join in the discussion, which I love. So I really appreciate that. Appreciate all you coming. If you haven't subscribed already, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the bell so you can come. Be like Free Little Bird and hit that subscribe button now so you can come for future videos, and hit the like button on this video. Let me know your comments and questions in the comments, because as you've seen in this video, I'll go into future videos and answer those questions. So thanks guys again so much. I'm out.